Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. Nicole. You know what to do. Subscribe, hit that like button, and share if you find this valuable. So you know we're all about feminine energy, boundaries, and healthy relationships. Let's talk a little bit about this obsession that we tend to have with celebrity relationships and how we can actually turn that in a way to be more helpful, right? Because whether it's Jeannie Mai and Jeezy, whether it's who was the latest, Cardi B and Offset, whether it's somebody in Hollywood who's been married for 20 years or more and they get a divorce, whether it's the Kardashians, Kanye West, you name it, any genre, any style, we tend to be obsessed with the love lives and the relationships of celebrities, right? And I think part of it is because they give us a glimpse into what we subconsciously feel is something that's supposed to be healthy and glamorous and just have no problems. And what we end up finding through looking at their breakups, which is what we tend to really get obsessed with, right? If you notice, we're more obsessed with the breakup than the getting together. And I think part of it is we're trying to understand how something that was supposed to be so perfect could somehow fall apart. We're trying to see if we can get lessons for ourselves because no matter what anybody says, relationships are the most important parts of our lives, right? Whether it's friendships, romantic relationships, but in particular, romantic relationships are where we tend to want to get guidance. We want to have a blueprint, a structure. And we think that either celebrities can tell us, show us a perfect life or relationship. Part of us has that fantasy, right? And then the other part is we want to learn from their mistakes, so to speak, right? When these perfect relationships fall apart. And let's be clear. We all know, right, that they're not perfect, but I still think there's a part of us that has a fantasy that there's something different about celebrity relationships that maybe if we could get a piece of that, we could get a piece of that pie, it would help our own relationships, right? So it kind of makes sense that we get obsessed. And I would say that we are more obsessed with the breakup than the makeup, so to speak. We are more obsessed with why these relationships fall apart because we're trying to understand why our own relationships might fall apart. So I want to talk about 6 ways that lessons or ways that we get lessons from celebrity relationships and celebrity breakdowns, right? And how we can apply them to our own lives in a healthier way versus sort of like everything is about the gossip, the latest tea. Oh, did you hear? Let me list some of the ones I've heard. Uh, Tiana Taylor and Iman Shumpert. Uh, there's some people I don't even know all the names, but I see that when it was Kim Kardashian and what's the guy, not Kanye West, but whoever she was with after that. Gosh, am I bad because I don't know all these celebrities' names, right? But what I do know is every time I open up something, it's talking about somebody who's breaking up, getting a divorce, filing for divorce. And everybody says things like, oh my God, if they broke up, there's no hope for me. Well, let's dig into these lessons that we might be able to learn about relationships in general, healthy things that we can apply to our relationships, right? One is authenticity and vulnerability, right? When we look at celebrity relationships, the ones that seem to be doing well, look at people like Denzel Washington, Angela Bassett, Viola Davis. There's a bunch of people, right? We all know that celebrities are humans too. They are not immune to heartbreak. And their relationships, what we can be reminded of in a healthy way is that outside of or behind the glitz and the glamour, they too can experience pain and struggle if they're not able to get some healthy skills in place, right? So when they are able to embrace their vulnerability, teach us the importance of being genuine in our own relationships. So we can look at when we see celebrities struggling, instead of throwing rocks, we can say, wow, they're human. We should embrace our own vulnerabilities and we should be authentic with ourselves and with our partners, right? Relationships that work are those where there's a level of connection and intimacy, and that occurs through authenticity and vulnerability. Put more simply, you got to be real and you that you're not perfect, okay? The second lesson that we need to learn is communication is key. So those celebrity relationships that work, and again, we don't know behind like what we see, but we can imagine that those relationships that work or that are stable for any period of time, one thing that has to be present is healthy communication, especially because celebrities live under constant public scrutiny. Yet many of them still tend to build healthy and successful partnerships and connections, right? Part of the secret to that is effective communication. To be able to be in a partnership, a stable relationship with someone, you have to be able to openly express your needs and your desires, right? You want both people to get their needs and their desires met. And you have to show us that healthy conversation and discussion, even difficult conversations, are the foundation for a healthy relationship. So when we start hearing rumors about celebrities, this person is cheating, that person is doing that, um, we can imagine that that can play tricks on their minds too, right? If they're reading the rumors or hearing the rumors like the rest of us, that could sow doubt and distrust. And they're wondering, is this relationship real? Like, I'm with this person, but this is what the blogs are saying. And this is where communication is key. You have to be able to talk to your person, the person you're doing life with, outside of all of the chatter. So think about that for your own life. Even if you're not a celebrity, there's always somebody. You know me. I call everybody that is yeah talking. They are the peanut gallery. And so sometimes the peanut gallery, our own friends, our own family. It could be coworkers. It could be people on the internet that we're letting them get into our heads. And the number one thing we have to do is be able to communicate with our partners. So celebrities teach us that with all of the scrutiny and all of the examination and the microscopic like look at their lives, if they want to have a successful relationship, they have to communicate with each other. And we have to do the same, right? The third lesson is balance. Balance, right? If you think about it, celebrities are actually juggling a lot, demanding careers and personal lives. Even if you think of somebody as, quote, just, what is it, just an influencer or something, it's still a career, it's a job, and you're having to juggle that need or that desire to either have a career, make money, whatever it is that you're doing it for, with your personal life. And sometimes it can feel like they're competing with each other. And so when celebrities are successful at striking a balance, it helps us to think about how we need to prioritize our relationships, right? Even if there's chaos in our day-to-day lives, are there moments where do we have a ritual as a family or as a couple, right? Where we have date night, where we decide we're going to have a breakdown of our day at the end of the day, even if we're in different places. We're going to call each other, we're going to check in, we're going to have special pet names for each other. We're going to do things that say we prioritize each other, even in the midst of all of these other goals we have, all of these other things we're trying to achieve, or all of this chaos that might be going on, right? That being able to prioritize your partner is key. Now, I heard something, I loved this. I saw an interview with Method Man, and they were saying, "You've been married for 20 years." Now, see, I didn't know anything about this man and his relationship, whether he was married, who he was married to, for how long. And his point was what has helped him to sustain this 20 plus year marriage is privacy, keeping things private, not trying to be an influencer couple or somebody out there putting their relationship and their life on front stage. And I think that is so admirable, right? Different strokes for different folks, right? Even for non celebrities, there's people that want to broadcast everything about their relationship on social media, and there's other people that don't. Now, I personally think keeping certain things and many things private, or being clear that as much as you might share, there's always a core part, an important part that you keep to yourself that nobody knows, right? Because that's how you create the intimacy. And so Method Man's point was there are things that you will never know, whether we go up and down, whether we're fighting, whether we're struggling, whether she's mad at me, I'm mad at her. There are certain things, the good times, right? There are certain things that need to be kept private, and that is really going to help strengthen your relationship, right? So that's the third lesson. The fourth lesson that we can learn and apply to ourselves is the importance of learning and growth in a relationship. And any partnership is two people, right? You have two people who are growing. They're not going to grow exactly the same. And so what we see with relationships is their mistakes tend to be front and center. They are out front and center, right? So we get to scrutinize it and say, oh, well, I wouldn't be with him, right? The latest was Kiki Palmer and her boyfriend, the father of her child. I forgot his name. And there was this big thing about he said something on social media where he didn't like what she was wearing when she went to Usher's concert and she was all hugged up when Usher was serenading him at his Las Vegas concert. Now, social media, the whole blogosphere, hemisphere, weighed in on this and everybody had an opinion about him. He's no good. They need to break up. She's this, he's that. And here's the thing, it's up to that couple to be able to learn and grow from any mistakes that they make, any missteps that they make, right? So it's up to them to find ways to acknowledge their flaws and commit to self improvement and to have their partner, their significant other, understand that like trust that they're sincerely doing it, right? But what we can learn from that is first of all, it's hard to be able to make mistakes and then rebound and grow when you're under public scrutiny. But even for us not as celebrities, sometimes it's our friends, again, that peanut gallery. It's the people who don't want us to that have something to say, but they're not the ones that are living in our relationship. So if you feel that you have flaws or you understand that your partner has flaws and you all have a process or a commitment or an understanding about how you want to work that out, that is between the two of you, right? And that is an important part of any relationship. And again, going back to intimacy, intimacy is developing that connection, that trust, and understanding that we're not perfect. But only you can determine what are your like deal breakers or what areas are you willing to allow your partner to make mistakes and grow? Where are you looking for some grace when you're making mistakes and wanting to grow? Okay, so growth and learning, mistakes, forgiveness. When I work with couples, I say if you cannot include forgiveness in your vocabulary, then you are in for a rude awakening because this relationship probably won't go anywhere. Again, forgiveness is not the same thing as being a doormat, being, abused, patterns of being like completely manipulated, all of those things. But we are human. We're not angels. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We need to have the space to learn and grow. And so does your partner. Okay. And we see that a lot with successful or, what may look like successful celebrity relationships. The fifth lesson that we can learn, this is big, right? I kind of alluded to it, but privacy and boundaries, right? Fame for celebrities comes with a lack of privacy. And they understand, though, that makes them understand the importance of setting boundaries. Some of them even put out certain things so that it can kind of be a distraction, like a decoy. It's like, okay, let me give the public something. And then the real thing that's going on and inside of our relationship, inside of our home, is something that they will never know about. And I actually think that's a pretty good strategy. Um, a mentor taught me that a long time ago. Like when people are overly curious about you, sometimes give them a little bone so that they can stop digging and trying to get all in your business. Give them something. Like there's a thing of being sometimes too mysterious, right? Because people start feeling like, well, who does she think he is? She is. Who does he think he is? To like not to be ultra private. And while it's our right, we kind of have to understand strategically what privacy and boundaries look like in our relationship. Like I said, the reality is sometimes when you're in a happy place, in a stable place, or if you're in a vulnerable place in your relationship, you have to be careful who you talk to, because there are some people who will want to break you up or encourage the relationship to fall apart for whatever reason. Maybe, they're miserable. Maybe they miss you as a friend or a family member. Maybe they don't like the person, whatever it is. So you have to be mindful of not having your own views of your partner kind of infected by other people's perspectives. That is why it is so helpful to see a professional, whether it's a coach, a therapist, someone who's not that invested in your relationship. And when you're having problems, you go to that person who is trained to help you with communication and help you with setting healthy boundaries and help you with all of those things I just talked about: the vulnerability, the authenticity, the how to recover from mistakes aspect of it. But if you're just out there getting advice from random people, telling everybody, your mother, your father, your auntie that you haven't seen in 10 years, everybody that you come in contact with, telling them about your relationship woes or just letting them too much in, that is probably not going to be healthy, right? So I think that is one thing that we can learn from, one of the key things we can learn from some of the healthier celebrity relationships is those boundaries, right? And enforcing personal space. Um, some celebrities are in couples where one of the partners is a sex symbol, or someone who's out there where that's part of their image, that's what they do, right? But they still have to have established boundaries. So when fans come up, like how close are they going to get, or what things are they going to engage in? So those boundaries are things that you talk about, again, communication as a couple, and that you also find a way to be respectful in maintaining boundaries with the public and maintaining your privacy in a healthy way. Okay. Those are the first five key lessons. And I'm going to add a bonus sixth one, and that is about toxic relationships. So this lesson is more so a cautionary warning, right? We are seeing so many toxic relationships. These are part of reality shows. These are part of everything that we see on social media. They are so toxic, but we get so caught up and obsessed with them, and we start to believe that this is normal, that these things happen in relationships all the time. Well, that is not the case. These are skewed views. These toxic relationships that we see, whether it's all I see all the time, uh, Blueface and Krishan, uh, whoever else, Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives of whatever, like you see them fighting. You see people arguing. You see family members turning on each other. You see people airing their dirty laundry out to millions. And they may believe, okay, this is just a show, an act. I'm just doing it for the money. But you have to understand those things infect our views, and it also those things affect them and infect their understanding of healthy relationships. You can get so caught up in negativity that you have a warped view of what a real relationship looks like. You think that conflict should be settled by arguing, fighting, disrespecting. You feel like everybody has to be perfect except you. You don't have boundaries, you have barriers to where you cut people off. There are all kinds of ways that there are toxic traits that we are being flooded with, and it's so important to protect your mind and even your emotions from all of the toxic relationships, all the toxic celebrity gossip and breakups and ways that they try to make unhealthy relationships look healthy. You really, really have to be careful with this, right? So, what are some things that you can do? You can look at real couples in your life that are healthy. If you don't know any, seek some out, seek community with other people who are doing what you want to do. If you're married, seek community with other healthy married people. If you're single, seek community with still seek community mentorship from married people, or seek community with single people who are striving for healthy relationships. Be mindful of what you consume. Make sure you see it as kind of fun and entertainment, and not a real sort of representation of every relationship. Just because you see it on TV and it's toxic doesn't mean every relationship is like that. Be mindful of very black or white thinking. Oh, this is what I hear a lot from women. Men ain't nothing. This is what I hear from men. Oh, the women are horrible, right? We are being pit against each other, a lot of it through media and social media, and it's not healthy. If there's something healthy that you do see in a celebrity representation of a relationship, take from that. If you see something good, a couple that seems to communicate well, that respects each other, that honors each other, good, take that. But when you see the unhealthy, toxic traits, please know that that's not you. You have to separate yourself from it, and you have to look for healthier, real life examples. Okay? So tell me what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. What do you think about this whole celebrity obsession that we have? And what are some lessons, some do's, and some don'ts that you have learned from observing celebrity relationships, right? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. This is Dr. Nicole, and I love that you are following me. We're going to talk all about feminine energy, boundaries, healthy relationships. So make sure you put on those notifications, and I'll see you in the next video.